Greetings. Here we are, off to a furious start for our semester. Every week I will be reflecting on our previous week's conversation and trying to draw together unifying themes and adding thoughts that I think might be useful to enhance the conversation. I want to start by acknowledging how well you all are using the platform of these forum discussions. I know you may be completely inundated with forum discussions and this semester and in previous semesters, but as a group you're using the platform beautifully. You're combining critical analysis of the readings and reflection on the readings with making connections to your own personal and life experience, and then enhancing all that with your post to the community wall in such a way as to make for a very rich exchange that I think increases everybody's appreciation for the topics that we're talking about. As you pointed out, there are multi-systemic factors that lead to outcomes for people with mental illnesses, and those factors occur at every level, from biological all the way to large system levels like economics and history and culture, and it's the interplay of the risk and protective factors on all of those systemic levels that leads to vulnerability or resilience in a particular individual. Highlighting some of those, one thread in your conversation is the importance of not only finding the right medication when people need medication, but having a relationship with a psychiatrist who understands who you are, who knows your history, and who gives you input into your own care. And that's a very that's a rare find. And once you do find a psychiatrist like that, that's the person to build for you as a care provider to build a relationship with, because too often the most important parts of the relationship are, and therefore the understanding, never happen because of the structure of 15-minute sessions throughout the day and this revolving door psychiatric care system that is in place. And you will find yourselves as providers to be the ambassadors between individuals and other and psychiatrists and other aspects of the care system, health caregivers, etc. And whether or not somebody gets appropriate care is often related to how effective the advocate or the ambassador is. So you're in a wonderful position to provide that for people. As another thread that emerged was the importance not only of availability of necessary medication, but of the continuity of that medication and the catastrophic results that can occur when that availability and continuity are not there. There are other systemic factors that are critical. For example, this issue of inclusion and exclusion. As all of us know, there is a close relationship between feeling excluded and blaming or denigrating oneself. Because we are socially constructed beings, it's very difficult to manage the feeling of being excluded without having one's self-esteem lowered. And so again, as ambassadors, it's very important that we provide our clients with an opportunity to understand that they have something to contribute to their communities and to provide an opportunity to make those contributions. Everyone is entitled to the opportunity to belong and to contribute, and it's very important to have that opportunity rather than to be waylaid in this gray zone of just being the patient or just being the consumer. On a political level, as you mentioned, the increasing number of laws, the extent to which incarceration occurs for less and less serious crimes, and more often to people who are marginalized already, and the extent to which the same people are incarcerated for longer. All of that adds to the difficulty in recovery for many people with mental health issues. And also on a political level, if there isn't support for caring for, as you said, a large percentage of the homeless population that has mental health issues, then people are stuck there as well. So they're disregarded either in institutions or disenfranchised completely. And it's all a result of political goings-on and the willingness of a particular community or society to invest economically in caring for those among us who are at the time having difficulty caring for themselves. There's also, of course, a historical component. Modern-day social work is embedded in the history of the Old English Poor Law from the 1600s that distinguishes between those people who are deserving of help and those people who are not deserving and should be blamed for the difficulties that they're experiencing. And so that is a historical perspective that continues to this day in the context of, or in the form of, stigma and marginalization. There are also cultural factors that are very important for you to consider, because the same behavior that is normative in one context is considered to be abnormal in another, and it's important to know what the norms are in the community you're serving, and also to collaborate with the caregivers, the traditional caregivers or accepted helpers who are non-professional within a given community, because a person can't walk two opposing roads simultaneously, and it doesn't make sense for us to ask a person to choose between a mainstream model and a traditional tribal model of cure, for example. So your ambassadorship will involve in that situation creating alliances with traditional caregivers, so that you can be in sync, and so that the client can have one coherent experience. So overall, a big part of what we do is create access for people, and at the same time create a community that is more, or work to create a community that is more welcoming to people. And so that gives us an opportunity at every turn to work against stigma, and just as importantly, to highlight the gifts and the skills and the contributions of people who are diagnosed with mental illnesses. After all, a homogeneous society would be deadly boring, wouldn't it? I agree that films and novels are extremely helpful in giving you a window into the experience of another person, in this case, a person with a mental illness. If you don't have direct experience, that's about the best thing that you can do to get an inside story of a person's experience when they're beset with a certain set of symptoms. So there you'll find many of them on the list in our forum, and you'll find many of them in the resources, the further resources in on our Moodle site. So welcome. You're already off to a wonderful start. it's clear that you have developed a very strong community, and I'm delighted to see that you're integrating one another. Um, for example, those of you who are advanced standing, with those of you who have been here for a number of semesters, it is so important to be hospitable and welcoming, and I appreciate your doing that. So I'll sign off for now, and look forward to reading this week's material.